Hello everybody and welcome to our weekly webinar, 1 o'clock Eastern each Thursday. Our new series has just begun. This is the first of our fall series of webinars. So I welcome you. My name is Terry Kay. I am the Director of the Berriman House Training and Educational Services Group, and I am very pleased that you have joined us today. Our topic is Kol Yisrael for self-paced and Chavruta learning. And I want to just confirm that you can all hear me and see my screen. So if you could just type into the chat bar that you can, in fact, hear my voice and see my screen, I would appreciate it. Meanwhile, while you do that, I'll continue. So I'd like to start by saying that this short webinar, which will run for less than 30 minutes, assumes that the participants, that's you, are already familiar with the Online Learning Center. So today we are not going to be describing the Online Learning Center, demoing it, or in any way seeing how it works, but we will rather be focusing on how to use the new blended learning Hebrew materials in the Online Learning Center. So let me look at the okay, so I'm glad, thank you, that you can see and hear the screen. Thank you so much. And again, if you feel that you are not adequately familiar with the Online Learning Center, then I can suggest that you take a look at berrimanhouse.com, and you can do that after the webinar. So berrimanhouse.com, and then click on Learn to Use the Online Learning Center. So again, you just go to berrimanhouse.com and then Learn to Use the Online Learning Center. When you click on that link, you will encounter really everything you need to understand the OLC, as we call it. So, for example, you will find recordings of all the webinars we have presented. There are about 10 or more, maybe 10 to 15 webinars we've previously done, including an introduction to the OLC, how to use Hebrew in the OLC, technical support, how to post assignments, how to inform parents and families what the OLC is, and so on. And that, I think, you will find useful. So again, for those of you who just joined us, today's short session, under half an hour, assumes that you already know how to use the Online Learning Center. So let's just quickly summarize, how does Hebrew in the OLC help you? The Berriman House Hebrew materials in the Online Learning Center provide the tools for blended learning. And blended learning, as you likely already know, is a combination of face-to-face and online instruction. It includes both print and digital learning materials. In other words, the face-to-face is what takes place in your classrooms in school, in your building, and the online is what takes place in the Online Learning Center. The blend of print and digital materials are the actual learning products that the students use both in class and then the digital equivalent that they use at home. And if at any time you have questions, please post them in the question bar. I'm looking at that constantly. There are 5 products available in the Online Learning Center. These are the blended learning tools from Berriman House. We call it the Kol Yisrael series because that's the name of the 3-year prayer series, but in fact it really encompasses 5 years worth of learning materials, beginning with reading readiness in a new volume called Ready, Set, Go, Aleph, Bet, most widely used in 2nd grade. Again, Ready, Set, Go, Aleph, Bet, which is teachers' reading readiness, is used usually in 2nd grade, although it's brand new, so this is where it will be used starting now in the school year. Aleph Bet Quest is a primer. Students learn to decode Hebrew. And Aleph Bet Quest is most commonly used in 3rd grade. Then there is Kol Yisrael 1, 2, and 3. This is a prayer literacy series. It takes the students from blessings and prayers for use for home celebration. For example, Ma Nishtana, Birkat Hamazon, Brachot Shel Shabbat, Brachot Shel Yom Tov, and so on. And that is again most widely used in 4th grade. The 2nd volume of Kol Yisrael, the opening prayers in the Shabbat morning service, and the Torah and the Amidah, commonly used in 5th grade, and Book 3, Level 3, the Torah service concluding prayers, used in 6th grade. All of these materials consist of a book, which the students use in class, an online companion, which they use in the online learning center. And again, I'm glancing over at the question screen all the time, so feel free to type in a question. You can also click the little hand button and I will unmute you, and then I would be happy to hear your question, your actual voice. So let's take a look first at how a regular class uses Kol Yisrael in the online learning center. Again, I want to just reiterate that what we're addressing here in this short time we have together of about another 15 or 20 minutes is merely how you could use the digital piece of Kol Yisrael in the online learning center. So I thought before we move to self-paced and Chevruta, I would first show you how a regular class uses it. In a regular class, the student is invited by email into a class using Kol Yisrael 1, 2, or 3. The student clicks on the link in that email and immediately finds herself, in this case, in the online learning center for her school. So what the student sees, you can see here her name, and she has uploaded her own photo. She sees the name of the class that she has been invited to. In this case, the name of the class is 5th grade Hebrew. The student sees the Hebrew software she'll be using in her class. We call this the learning software. In this case, the student is using Kol Yisrael 2. And the student sees a play button, which allows her to do the digital activities online, anywhere, anytime. The student knows what activities are required of her because the teacher posts assignments. This we call the student dashboard. We could also call it the student homepage. Again, this is what the student sees when she's inside a class. The student, once she has clicked on this play button, once she's clicked the play button, it takes her to all her Hebrew activities for that level. So in this case, because this is just the way Kol Yisrael is regularly used, all students complete the book and the digital activities at approximately the same pace and in the same order. The teacher assesses the class progress at approximately the same time. This is the view that the teacher has. The student does not see this. The teacher does. Here's an example of a 6th grade Hebrew class and their assessment. The teacher sees all the students in the class and how each one is progressing. The teacher can also dig down and go deeper to see an individual's results for all the lessons that year. Here's lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. So this way, a teacher can compare the results, can also see who's doing the work or not. So in this case, young Andy doesn't seem to have done very much, although he has played this game 3 times and read this prayer twice. But Hannah here seems to have been quite conscientious about her work. So in this way, the teacher can compare student results, and in this view, this teacher can actually dig down and look at the student's specific results. Then, of course, teachers give the individual's feedback, and those students practice as necessary, whether in their books or online. So, before I quickly move on to the way it might work in a self-paced situation, please let me know if you have any questions so far. Sabrina, I'm going to unmute you. Yes, Sabrina.
Hi there, how are you?
Hi.
I am teaching the 7th grade class and wondering if it's possible with a limited amount of computers, probably 2, if I can separate into groups, 2 groups of 4 and use this program during class.
Okay, a good question. The Online Learning Center is ideally used at home. In other words, the greatest advantage is that it expands the learning time and it brings the learning into the home and allows extra practice. Having said that, you can use, of course, the Online Learning Center in school. One thing to be aware of is that each student logs in with a unique email and each student's progress is tracked individually. So if you have 2 computers, as the students switch out and take turns, one must log out of the Berriman House website before the next one logs in. Otherwise, it will not recognize that a new student has arrived. So, Sabrina, I'm going to unmute you. Let me know if you have any additional questions. Sorry, Sabrina, go ahead.
Program.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
There's no class. There's no class program, correct?
What do you mean? Tell me what you mean by class program.
So it's just designed for at home. Because I think it would be too cumbersome for individual students to log in and log out during class time.
In this case, I think that is correct. Still, there are schools that do use it in school because they have multiple computers. So if you have, for example, a computer lab or the library, or at least access to a number of laptops, students could certainly log in, each with his or her own login and password and so on. Also, you as the teacher can show your Online Learning Center, your view, and you could post in class. So you could, for example, log in just with your account and perhaps show we have thousands, literally 2,000 multimedia resources that you're able to download. So you may choose to show that in class on a projector. So that's another option for doing it. But otherwise, I think in your case with 2 computers, it is best for the students to do it in their own time. So let's move on to how you might use Call Israel for self-paced learning. And this is for a student who, or for a program in which you want 1 or more students to progress at their own pace, whether it's because of different levels of ability, different levels of motivation or interest, skills, presence versus absenteeism. There are all sorts of reasons to use a self-paced program. So I've shown you very briefly how you would use Call Israel for whole groups. In the self-paced model, a particular student, is invited, again by email, into a group, or you could call it a class or a group, whatever you want to call it, each of which uses Call Israel 1, 2, and 3, or 3. In other words, every group or class has one play button for that learning software. And I'll show you what I mean, because that might be confusing to you. Here again, we are on the home page of our student Julia Loeb. You can see she's on her dashboard. It says Online Learning Center. It's a yellow navigation bar. She sees the school. She belongs to 2 schools, actually, Temple Bethel, Alabama, and Berriman House. So students can belong to 2 schools, and teachers can teach at different schools as well. In this case, the classes or the groups that Julia is in, she is in self-paced group Aleph using Call Israel 2, and she's in self-paced group Aleph using Kol Yisrael 1. So this student is in 2 Kol Yisrael groups, and she completes lessons at her own pace. The teacher creates appropriate assignments within the class for just that one student or for multiple students who are at that level. So in this case, Julia has clicked on her class or her group self-paced group Aleph. This is the group that's using Kol Yisrael 2. She sees her teacher's assignment, and maybe you can just take a minute and look at that. She adds her own meaning. In this case, even before she does her Hebrew work up here at the play button, she tells the teacher, well, here she did do the work, but down below she says she gives her own interpretation of why the teacher has included a picture of a heart in her post. And then she proceeds to do her work that the teacher has assigned. The teacher has asked this student, who's progressing at her own pace, to go in to click on the play button and practice reading Ve'ahavta. So before I show you how the teacher would then assess that student, let me know if you have any questions. Okay, feel free to raise your little hand and I will unmute you. So now the teacher is able to assess, as we saw, the progress of each student online. In this particular class, the teacher only has 3 students. And here is our child. Let's go up. Julia Loeb, she's the student. Here is her name. So the student has posted, I read the Ve'ahavta 6 times. Well, not the whole thing each time. It was too long, so she's given a little editorial comment. And the teacher can easily go and check the assessment and, in fact, sees that Julia has practiced Ve'ahavta 6 times. The teacher can, of course, assess in different ways in class 2. For example, the teacher may assign a worksheet for a particular prayer in Kol Yisrael, and that student could even correct her own work with an answer key. And let me know if you'd like me to show you where you can find these review sheets and answer keys, and where you can find prayer mastery charts. So if you want me to, just type it in the question panel, and I'll take you to where you can find it online. Here is a prayer mastery chart where the teacher in class will listen to the student read and will make comments and will assess her progress this way. And then, of course, in the self-paced program, students move on to the next prayer once they can demonstrate reading accuracy and fluency and understanding. In other words, the online work is just one component of the learning experience. Finally, let's take a look at Kol Yisrael for Chevruta study. And of course, Chevruta study is, primarily students working in twos, in pairs. Sometimes there can even be 3 students. It doesn't matter. It's interpreted in a variety of ways. But really, it's students working in combination for the good of the pair, each contributing their own experience, their own interpretation, and their own sensitivities to the progress of the group. In this case, what I've shown you is a screenshot. I'm the teacher. You can see I'm shown here as teacher. There's my name. There's my photo that I've uploaded. In this class, this is my 5th grade Hebrew class. Here I have the assessment button that students do not have, only the teacher does. And I have shown you how I have created posts specifically for the Chevruta in this class. So I'm in my 5th grade Hebrew class, and I've posted assignments for the Chevruta by name. Here's a typical assignment for a Gebruta, and you can take a look at that on your own. Okay, so just these two students will complete this assignment. And here's another one. This is for a different Gebruta. So here you can see I have asked them to practice reading the Gvurot in Kol Yisrael 2. And I've also asked them what they can read, what this word up here says, and if they can tell me, they can get a sticker in. If they can post it below, write a comment, they will get a sticker in class. Again, what you are seeing are screenshots. I'm not showing this to you live, but I did draw the screenshots, of course, from the live online learning center. Now, if you feel that your class discussions are getting cluttered and there are just too many assignments or posts, you can easily remove them. You can edit, update them, add photos, but you can also remove and they will be gone. So finally, and this is our final slide, and then I'm going to ask you for your questions. What I hope you'll understand is that the Hebrew in the Online Learning Center is flexible. You can use it in any way you choose. But first, it's important that you think how you want to organize your class. And by that I mean your regular class, the kids that are in front of you. Once you know that, think how the features in the Online Learning Center can help you do that. And you can be as creative as you want. You are limited only by your imagination. So that very quickly is an overview of some of the ways you can use Kol Yisrael in a customized fashion in the Online Learning Center. I'd like very much to hear from you, so if you'd like to click on the little hand, I will unmute you. Okay, Dania, I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly, if it's Dania or Dania, but I welcome your question. Dania?
Yes?
Do you have a question?
No.
Okay, I thought I'd seen you raise the little hand. Forgive me. I'm just going to wait another minute to see if anybody thinks of anything that is of interest to them that they'd like to inquire about. Okay, since there are no more questions, wait, I do see that Debbie has a question. So Debbie is asking, can an MP3 with our Rabbi's Tune of Tefillah be uploaded for the kids? Yes. In your class where you are the teacher or the cantor or the rabbi is a teacher, you can easily upload an MP3 and the students will all hear it at home. Okay. Next question. I'd like your, I'm not sure, okay, let me go back to, I'm actually interested in using this, sorry, let me just expand this box. I'm actually interested in using this for a homeschooling situation. I'm not sure others want to know, but I'd like your advice, could be now or later. Debbie, you can feel free to email me. You see the address, email address on the screen, and one of our team will be happy to respond to you. Okay, are there any other questions? I am not seeing any other questions, so I'm going to invite you, if you do think of something that you'd like to follow up, and please feel free to email terry@berrimanhouse.com. And meanwhile, I thank you for being here, and I wish you all the very, very best for the new school year, and Shana Tova.